This is Robert Whitley from Destiny Global TV. Wherever you are, we'd like to wish you a wonderful morning or evening. And we're carrying on from part 1 where we left off, the deterrent and violence of Jamaica. But what we would like to do, we'd like first to look at the history of Jamaica. One can recall the history from going to school in Jamaica. In 1494, Christopher Columbus claimed he discovered Jamaica. But when he arrived on the island, there was already Arawaks Indian there. The Arawaks Indian came from South America nearly 2,500 years ago. So how can Christopher Columbus, an explorer, said he discovered Jamaica? Before he went, this is his second voyage to Jamaica. He could not capture Jamaica on the first voyage, so he went again with his men. In those days they had pirates, buccaneers, all those people exploring, and he landed thinking there was gold. He landed on the island and found the Indians, and after he found the Indians, he too started having the island as his own and enslaving the Arawak Indians. After that, the English explorer William Penn waged war against Christopher Columbus. I think it's 1673, and they captured the island. And then they put the island, all who was in the island, they start importing slaves. They call it the Middle Passage, from England to Africa, from Africa to Jamaica, to work on their plantations. At that time, there was only cassava, tobacco, cocoa they were exporting back to England. But after that, they found out that sugar cane, which we now know Tate and Lyle produce, was the main thing for the island. Instead of having, firstly they started out with 57 sugar plantations, but then they grew to 437 plantations. One can imagine the type of monies that they were making, because they were trading slaves and also exporting sugar from Jamaica. So Jamaica has always been a land, initially it was called Jamaica when the Spanish renamed it. So it has been a place where buccaneer, pirates, everyone wanted to go. When Christopher Columbus landed, he said it was one of the fairest islands he's ever been on. Now, the English took over and started enslaving the Arawak Indians and working them, exporting all the sugar. All the slaves come from Africa to work, and they developed this trade for quite some time to build England. So you can again think about how England was built. England was built on the back not only of slavery, on the back of people from the Jamaica, from the Caribbean, from the monetary gain that they had in sugar. During this time, the slaves of Jamaica in 1739, I think, had a rebellion, and the rebellion led to them overthrowing the English. From then on, they had a town called Maroon Town, which has its own laws and everything, and they gave that town to the people who was rebellious against the English. So Jamaica could be described in many ways like a woman who's been enchanted, who has been through so much and has stood the test of time. One can remember even the earthquake that shook Port Royal and destroyed Port Royal, where they had to move the main capital to Kingston because it was Port Royal before as well. So when one looks at Jamaica, where it's evolving from and coming to this stage, one would say it's not now that they've been going through tyranny, buccaneering, thing. But let's look at how Jamaica became independent in August 6, 1962. Because that's when the first government of Jamaica, Sir Alex Bustamante, became Prime Minister. And that's when Jamaica got their independence. So Jamaica got their independence on that day, and Britain obviously pulled out, but they still hold governorship. That means they still have an ambassador in Jamaica who represent the Queen. I think it would be fair to say that when you've earned so much from a country over the decades of time, that you should put some money back into the system. You should build infrastructure. You should build hospitals. You should make sure that when you leave a country that you rape and pillage, that you don't just leave it empty like that. Because how can any small country build themselves, and they've only had independence only 60-something years ago? So it's been left in a fragmented situation when the British last left it. A lot of other colonies in the Caribbean, the Dutch colony, they still look after their Dutch island. I'm sure they still have a social security system, which is a good safety net. They have housing. Why couldn't Britain, after doing so much and earning so much, put something back into the country? I want to just move on and bring it together how the violence, we think the violence has erupted in Jamaica. People are going about from all this time, no work, no opportunity, no proper hospitalization. A country is built, you have to keep on borrowing money from the IMF or the World Bank to maintain certain things. Every time they devalue your dollar, your dollar is not worth anything. How can a dollar be worth 170 of one person's money? It is almost ridiculous. It's preposterous. It is unexplainable to see that. But the country is going through, from 1960 to now, it's going through a transition. And it's young in its stages. It's like a baby wanting to crawl. You can't expect a country to get to its feet in 60-something years, coming on the back of all of that and slavery as well. So I think one has to understand the historical events that occurred to this island. And many other islands too have withstand similar situations. We're looking now at how we reach this stage with the violence in Jamaica and what we can do to at least encourage the young people, because it is the young people who is going to be the leaders of tomorrow. And when one looks plainly at what is happening there, we need to call out to Britain, who is the motherland, who still has the Queen as head of state, to do something, to put back something that they've taken out. Reparation. Everyone has been talking about reparation, and nothing has been done about it. But just looking at the way the violence is in Jamaica, because I want to really cement this situation. There's beautiful places in Jamaica. I've just had a recent video from a friend of mine entitled "Why You Should Visit Jamaica." Now, when I looked at that video, there was not a sign of violence there. And one could, because I'm raising a counter argument to the last video as well, that many tourists still go to Jamaica. As a matter of fact, last year during the pandemic, the tourism was nearly the same as the year before. Can you believe that? We've got to look at the beautiful things about Jamaica and the small pocket of problems that is there. We can try, well, not try, we must try and cure it. But we must look for what we've got. We've got a very rich history. We've got a rich history in music. So many of our legends has recently passed away, and their legacy will never ever be unheard of because they've made history. Bunny Wailer had just passed away. I would like to pay my commiseration to his family and sympathy and empathy. Toots and the Maytals, quite a few of our icons have departed, but they've left us so much of a richer country, so much more than when they first came along. So I want to look at the positive side of Jamaica today. And I want to encourage people who want to still visit the island that there is happiness, richness there to be enjoyed. Don't just look at the little pockets of violence that is there. If you look at my website, destinyglobal.co.uk, you will see there's a Polish lady who is living in Jamaica now. Initially, she looked at 90 countries and not one of them fit her specification that she wanted. She said that it is the best decision she has ever made. This is a foreigner who has come into this country. She said the country is easy and effortless for business. It's a country that is growing, and she can bring in any investment. It has proper legal status, meaning lawyers. She has good family background around her. So Jamaica is not all doom and gloom, as a lot of people would put it. So I'm encouraging people from all walks of life that want to visit there. Do not let this change your mind from visiting Jamaica. This is Destiny Global TV. Please subscribe and leave your comment below.